Aldo Gandia here with Tyler Ellis, and Danny Shimon should be joining us shortly. I am emotionally a wreck what this game did. The poor officiating, the penalties by the Chicago Bears, the incredible comeback attempt, the emergence of Justin Fields, the dramatic ending. There are so many other things that happened in this game. I feel like crying. I feel like punching something. I feel emotionally a wreck. And fortunately, I got my man Tyler here. We'll figure things out. Tyler, let me know what your thoughts were to the game.
First and foremost, thank you all for joining us this evening. We got the draft legend Danny joining us right now. But everybody, Bears Nation, it was a tough loss. Excuse my surroundings. I'm actually on duty, but come win, lose or draw, we're gonna bring you the news. And so it hurt Aldo because of the officiating. It seemed like it was definitely not just controversial, but just like it just favored one side over the other. We obviously weren't in Chicago, not that means anything. But first thing first, that first half, it looked like it was about to be an embarrassment. Honestly, it looked like we were about to get completely outmatched, outclassed in every aspect. I didn't know what we were doing offensively. It looked like they made an attempt to go to Allen Robinson early, like they remember he was on the team, which was pretty cool. But at the end of the day, we just couldn't get into a single rhythm. And then honestly, Aldo, I saw something that I haven't seen all year long. We took legitimate shots downfield. And that was a second half adjustment. One of the first times that I've seen an offensive adjustment all season long from this coaching staff. And they actually allowed Justin to go downfield multiple times. Cole Kmet almost had 100 yards pass receiving. And so, I mean, you got 6 different receivers catching the ball. David Montgomery looks very healthy, in my opinion. So I know John, my brother John doesn't like moral victories. So I don't want to give any because we did lose the game. So we need to be transparent with that aspect. But Justin Fields did show what he can do in pressure situations. That last minute, those touchdowns, that drive, Aldo, I was hoping that was the game-winning drive. I was like, okay, in the game right now. And I was hoping he was going to end it off with a pick six or a sack, but that didn't happen. The Bears come up short, but I wanted to fight. I don't want to be embarrassed on national TV because in national TV, the rest of the nation gets to see what we see. And I'm glad that we got to put on a better show for Virginia McCaskey turning 99 years old, 100 years old in a couple of weeks. So she flew all the way to Chicago, missing only one game during the pandemic. And that's the synopsis of what I got. Brother Danny, what was your take, brother?
Well, I mean, the positive, like you said, Tyler, the positive is like, this team first quarter looked like they're outclassed, outmatched in terms of, on the field talent. Luckily they were able to get something going there at the end of the half and then came out and then, put a better showing on in the second half. For me, it's the penalties, man. I mean, that just shows a lack of discipline, a lack of accountability throughout the football team. And that goes from the top down. So that's got to look at the coaching staff. It starts with the head coach and then just work your way down. I mean, some of the calls were just ridiculous. Like that taunting call on Cassius Marsh was I mean, that was just outrageous. I mean, that even the PI on the pass interference on Jalen Johnson was, to me, it was a little bit like borderline. I mean, that looked like it was more push off offensively on the receiver than it was pass interference. However, the referees made some horrible calls, I guess on both sides, but it just looked like it favored the Bears more in terms of some of the bad calls. But what was the final count there? I lost track after 10 there, Aldo. Was it 13 penalties for over 100 yards or something like that?
12 penalties for the Bears, 115 yards.
That's ridiculous.
5 penalties for the Steelers, 30 yards.
That's ridiculous. I mean, this is not just, I mean, the 12 or that not a huge number is a bit, something we haven't seen every week, but we've seen 8, 7, 6, 5 huge crucial penalties, undisciplined penalties, guys taking swings at players, so on and so forth. And it's got to stop. It has to stop. And, that's the negative for me. The Bears should have won these last 2 games, in my opinion. They should be 5-4 going into the bye. The 49ers team is a crap team, in my opinion, especially when they're injured and undermanned, and they lost to them. And then this team, they could come on. They should have won this game here as well. But again, the penalties galore. just put them behind the 8 ball. But the positive for me, and I've been saying this all along, the rest of the season is all about Justin Fields. And guys, I tweeted it before that drive started. This could have been the custom coming out party. That drive could have been the coming out party for Justin Fields. And that was, you want to see that young kid in hostile, environment on the road, go down and give your team the lead with a huge touchdown drive. And that, guys, is what you can hang your hat on in terms of this victory here or this loss here is that positive there. Now, Tyler, I'm with you. I don't believe in moral victories. There's no column that says moral victories. It's either a won or a loss or a tie, right? There's no moral victories. So, but we're developing a young quarterback here. And you saw this kid getting better and better and better. All what I've been saying and bear truth. I've been saying it's all about Justin Fields. I want to see him continue to take that process, get better and better. And I think tonight we saw some of that. We saw us take some of the deep shots downfield. You saw, he missed a couple of them, but he started connecting a little bit more. The combination between him and Cole Kmet, that's exciting. You want to see that in a young team develop that chemistry. But man, that drive, that was a Justin Fields coming out party drive. Just unfortunately, the Bears just couldn't finish it off with a victory and make us all feel good going into the bye.
Danny, you made a good point, brother, when you talked about Justin Fields being a coming out party, because in my opinion, Justin Fields took a beating this game. And a lot of those things weren't called as well. I mean, you saw players taking 1, 2, 3 steps and getting laid out and then no flags. So the flags was a lot today, but not in our Bears' favor when it was necessary. I mean, they took a touchdown off the board on that holding call when he was inside that box that they showed. But then Justin Fields gets laid out after he delivered the ball, took a step, and nobody says anything. So much respect to our franchise quarterback, Justin Fields, a guy in the chat that said he did everything he could. And when he took hits to the back of the head, I mean, he fell awkwardly. I don't know if I like the way he slides too much. No, the way he slides, because it leaves in it's not the slide, it's the impact after the slide that can cause injury. But for Justin just to stay in there, just so much tenacity and grit. And I love this guy. Aldo, you see this way this man loves to run the A-gap. He's not afraid to just go up the A-gap. And so those things I'm very, very excited about. Aldo, what you got, brother?
One of the things, guys, real quick, is if you're a heavily penalized team like the Bears have been throughout this year, you get a reputation. The referees know you and they expect you. They look at you even more. So, the Bears have a reputation of being a heavily penalized, team that's undisciplined. And I like that Marsh play. Like the referee was just looking at him. He was waiting for him, and took 2, 3, 4 steps. I don't think he said anything, but he just kept looking and staring at the Steelers. He wasn't the Steelers in the preseason, so I don't know if he was just like messing with his boys or whatnot. But he was looking at him, and as soon as he made that little turn, and I think maybe brushing up against the ref was just the final nail in the coffin, and he just kind of threw the flag there. But that was a huge play. They gave him 3 points that they wouldn't have had at the end of the game.
Yeah, I hate to complain about the officiating because I think that every team gets screwed, but it's undeniable that what we saw today from the NFL officials and Gene Tarenti's crew today was just awful. I mean, what they did there in terms of missing calls, for instance, they took away a touchdown for the Chicago Bears. That block was a totally legal block. And I've been trying to find the replay of it because ESPN Monday Night Football team, they put the graphic of the tackle box and it was clear. It was clear. And why the NFL doesn't allow those types of plays to be reviewed, because when you're taking away 6 points off the scoreboard, it's ridiculous that you can't review that. It's criminal. It's criminal. Fans like Tyler and Danny and John Buffone and me and Dan Aguirre, all of us are praying and hoping that we win this game, and you're going to take the victory away because of incompetence, because of stupid rules, because of stupid processes, because of just plain stupidity. And it's just infuriating. It is infuriating that those things are happening. And that wasn't the only bad call in that series. Those, as you guys talked about, those lack of penalties for roughing Justin Fields. It's ridiculous. It almost feels like they were purposely wanted Justin Fields to get hurt, which of course they probably didn't, right? But it just feels that way. Man, I am just I'm on edge right now because the NFL officials just screwed this game up for the Chicago Bears. They did. There's no doubt about it.
That one on James Daniels wasn't a penalty. He barely even grazed a player. He wasn't even, and even if he was right at the edge of the box, he barely even grazed a player. There was no effect on the player. However, on a different, I think it might have been in the first quarter, a defender for the Steelers runs into the knees of Jason Peters, and that would have been a penalty. And he didn't even do that. He went low on Jason Peters. You can't do it either. Offensive players can't do it. Defense can't do it. Offense either. So that's the thing. They didn't call it there, but they call it on the Bears on a very minimal, close call, and took away a touchdown. Took away a touchdown from Jimmy Graham and Justin Fields, and that's even more infuriating, in terms of just kind of reliving that again and just getting my blood pressure going as much as all those is going there as well.
And Tyler, and I know that you're Mr. Cool, Calm, and Collective, but I know that this has to irritate you too, to see the NFL officials being so darn incompetent. And I put up a graphic today, and let me see if I can find it here on footballzebras.com. Lists all of the occupations that these referees have, because this is not their full-time job. This is their part-time job. Now take a look at this. Take a look at this and to see if it doesn't infuriate you more. Tony Correnti is the former college officiating coordinator. He's a retired educator. Dan Farrell, retired logistics and supply executive. Patrick Farmer is a plant manager. Tim Padroza is a business performance consultant. Anthony Jeffries is in medical sales. Don Willard is a physical therapist. Todd Prokop is a medical sales representative. You're telling me that you can't get an officiating crew, pay them $500,000 a year. They're working 60 hours a week, studying tape, doing what is necessary to be the best officiating crew in all of sports. This is the National Football League. I spend almost $1 million a year on shit. Use it to pay for referees. This is effing ridiculous. Man, man.
Nah, brother Aldo, you're right, brother. You are on point. And to go back to the collective bargaining agreement, there was those conversations. Full-time officials that can also be penalized. Right. That can also be penalized and be fined as well, because officials aren't always right. It's not right that they are. There is no checks and balances with officials. Whatever they say goes, because that official, Danny, you're right on Marsh. Because when you guys go back and look at it, he had his hand on the flag before Marsh even walked past him. Before he even walked past him, he had his hand on the flag, and then the referee stopped where he thought he would be walking. Marsh gracefully just tried to go off the field, and he grazed them and threw the thing. And then the one thing I didn't like was that silly coach, and if I saw him, I'd probably knock him out, was the coach that tried to lay into Marsh on the sideline. That dude was a jerk, and I don't want to lose his job, but why would he? First of all, how about Marsh making a big-time play? Mm-hmm. First of all, making a big-time play on being called up from the practice squad, and then we got Mooney up.
Darnell Mooney up.
Here we go.
See if I can hear him.
Some of it was blatantly, you can see it, but
audio is terrible. We'll try to fix it. Go ahead,
okay.
Tyler.
So March, one of the coaches was trying to lay into March from the sideline, and the guy didn't do anything wrong. He made a play. We get a call for these fake taunting things, and then even those things are slippery slopes. And so, but these are game affecting calls. These, like, at some point in time, you got to let the men play. Let the men play sometimes. And at the end of the day, Aldo, what you're talking about from the NFL, like, it needs to be like Roger Goodell. It has to be like a phone booth. Like, if I'm a coach and I feel like remember the Titans, if I feel like my team is being cheated, I'm calling everybody off the field. And I'm going to the I need to talk to you, because this is not right. Because if people lose jobs off of wins and losses. People lose jobs, and they're not going to go back and say, "Oh yeah, that was the game with the referees and them." No, sadly, Matt Nagy, it comes down to wins and losses, and the ratio was already bad. These coaches and GMs need all the wins that they can collect at this point for their future careers, and so it truly, truly sucks. But once again, we can hang our hats on the development. I definitely want to talk about Roquan Smith. Like, no matter what happens, Roquan Smith shows up. Like, I think he found a new gear.
But the other thing that annoys me is I mean, I think that the penalty on Marsh was BS. But then why go and look at the Steelers bench again? Why go do that? Why even tempt the referee to throw a flag? And you guys are a marked team. You guys are a highly penalized team. Stop this crap. Okay. So what the coach going off him, I didn't mind it as much as you did, Tyler, because I'm like, you know what? We want accountability, right? We want these guys to stop doing this shit. And this is the coach is laying into his players. So maybe now he'll learn a lesson. So, but again, it was a BS call. I agree. It was a BS call.
The way he went it, Danny, did you see it? Did you see how he went it?
I saw it. He said, stay away from it. Why are you looking over there at the team?
He was going, the dude was all red in the neck.
That's what we're talking about, Tyler. We want accountability. We want these coaching staff to get these players, the Mario Edwards and Bilal Nichols, stop punching these guys, get discipline on this team and get them off the damn side. You had them off there. You had no points. And then now all of a sudden, again, BS call in my opinion, but it still extended the drive and they gave them 3 points. And now you end up losing by less than 3 points. So that was the deciding factor in the game. So, but the other thing is it's lining up offsides. Like, look at the damn ball. You got to get behind him. Marsh was there's twice Marsh could have been called for a neutral zone infraction. He wasn't called. Luckily,
I saw the Bears lined up offsides 5 times. I saw them. Marsh, 3 of them.
Roquan did it once. Marsh like 2 or 3 times, and we talk about Robert Quinn. You got to be disciplined, guys. You got to be disciplined. I know you're trying to get an edge on a pass rush and get into that backfield. But man, it's frustrating. It's just like, look at the damn ball, line up yourself with that ball, and don't get off sides. That's the huge thing right there. That's really frustrating. So, but there were a lot of positives in this game in terms of the Bears, especially like Eddie Goldman. Talk about Justin Fields.
Oh my gosh, Eddie Goldman.
Eddie Goldman was in the backfield of the Steelers so much he should have paid rent. That's how much he was in the backfield of the damn Steelers today. But and we went on at Eddie Goldman last Bear Truth in terms of that pathetic run defense they had against the 49ers, and he came to play today. I mean, he literally owned Green's. I feel bad for Green's a rookie, the kid out of Illinois, center. He's undersized center. He's more of a quicker, faster center than he is that power guy at the point of contact. And I'm telling you right now, 91 is going to be in his dreams all night long.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at that touchdown from Fields to Darnell Mooney. We've got it here from the NFL's Twitter feed.
Fields under some pressure. Throws on the run. Lofts one of the end zone. It is caught. It's Mooney for the touchdown.
And Aldo, that's beautiful because it's literally the same formation that they did with the Jesse James touchdown. Off to the left, off the foot. And Fields looks like that's that Lamar Jackson-esque type stuff we're talking about that Fields can do. He's not hesitating like he did early on with his reps. And to throw it on the sideline, that's not an easy pass because he's running for his life at the same time. But on the run with the hop and the skip, you gotta love that.
Feeling the pressure, get out of the pocket, escape. He knows where his escape hatch is. Gets out there. Like we talked about last week, this kid's very comfortable rolling to his left or rolling to his right, being able to throw, rolling to his left here. Right-handed quarterback, he's got to turn his hips. He's got to turn his shoulders to the target. And get that torque through his hips. Nice, nice feather touch on the ball. Ball placement was pristine, guys. It was only a spot where Mooney can make the play on the football. Defender had no chance at the ball at all. So, exciting plays like that is what you expect to see from Justin Fields. Things like that I saw at Ohio State on a regular basis. That was that one throw he down the sideline to Darnell Mooney. Mooney could kind of just right outside of his fingertips there. Again, nice arcing throw, a little bit too far down, but if they just a little bit, better connection there, that'd been a nice big touchdown play as well. The throw to A-Rob on that 3rd and 2 here at the end of the fourth quarter there as well. Again, nice throw and touch, hitting A-Rob on the run there. Big time play. I mean, the kid, again, just exciting to see him take these next steps and make these big time plays. National television, big time stage. The kid's not phased. He's never too up. He's never too low.
Yeah, I apologize. Roquan Smith is at the podium, but the audio that's coming from the Chicago Bears is screwed up. So let's continue our discussion, guys. Hopefully we can get the audio fixed by the time Matt Nagy gets in there. But you guys were talking about Justin Fields, and I mean, his performance today solidifies my already conviction that this guy's going to be a great quarterback. Anyone who has been criticizing him, and I don't want to go off on Bears fans, but I'm tempted to, because throughout this game, I see so much negativity on social media. It's infuriating. And in fact, some of my close friends, like Dan Aguirre, I can't believe I drove to this nightmare. It's the fucking second quarter, dude. We could still win this game. Let's stop being so negative. And Tyler, you and Danny, I'm sure you guys are from the same school. You never give up. You never give up on a game, even if it's a game that you don't have any control. You're just a fan, like we are in this case. You just never give up. You want to witness greatness. You want to witness great comebacks. Well, how are you going to do that if you're just sitting there sulking and complaining and this and that and so forth? Let's give these guys an opportunity to shine, and let's be on their side. When Allen Robinson caught that big time pass just prior to that Darnell Mooney touchdown, I was literally in tears because this guy, A-Rob, has so unfairly been blamed. I saw people saying he's been lazy, he's not trying hard enough. This guy's been playing through an ankle injury. You think that he wants to only have a half dozen catches after 8 games this season? No, he wants it badly, but he understands that the Bears have a rookie quarterback. If Andy Dalton would have been in there, he would have had bigger numbers, but he's been playing for this team and playing hard, showing up and getting the job done as best as he can. Did you see him block downfield on one of those plays early in the game? He was doing the job, so we shouldn't be down on him. So when he came through late in the game and he got injured in that, I wouldn't be surprised if he misses some time. I was just so happy for him, and I was so happy for Justin Fields. And again, you guys said it, there's no such thing as moral victory, but the reality of the fact is that's what we're looking at now, because this is a team that in 2 years from now, we won't recognize some of the guys on the rosters. This roster is going to go through a traumatic turnover. It's got to be changed because you got aging guys on the defense, because we need more playmakers on offense, because you need to rebuild the offensive line in many respects. And speaking of the offensive line, I thought James Daniels had a great game, and you saw him standing up and giving the signals and so forth. And maybe now it is time to move him back to center and have him be the lead guy, because he was calling those plays. And so I was super excited to see him take control of the offensive line, because we need a leader on that offensive line. Cody Whitehair doesn't speak up much. Sam Mustipher is too brainiac and doesn't have the strength to play the center as well as we would like it. James Daniels is the perfect guy, and maybe today was James Daniels coming out party, guys.
But yeah, the offensive line, good, because on that last drive, he had a solid pocket in terms of he being Justin Fields. So Larry Borum, the rookie, I know he had one penalty today, but that was the only penalty. That was the only blemish going up against TJ Watt. And I know he was. Thank you. Whoever got into the coaching staff's head, they were chipping at TJ Watt, giving Borum some help there. Either the running back or the tight ends were chipping them, releasing into the route pattern. So thank God the coaching staff decided that, hey, we're going to go ahead and chip away at this premier pass rusher. Still got 3 sacks, but still it could have been worse than that. So I think Borum was a bright spot at right tackle. I think Jason Peters continues to be a solid left tackle in terms of at least a pass protection. And you talk about James Daniels. I mean, that call was a BS call on him, but I'm telling you, he was moving guys out in that middle of that offensive line there as well. So offensive line was another bright spot for me. Overall. I'll go along with Justin Fields. And again, the Cole Kmet Justin Fields combination is starting to perk up there a little bit. And that's exciting to see, because that's the future of your offense there as well. Those premier positions. And hey, Jimmy Graham made a catch, man. And that's that second half made a nice catch down the seam there for a 28-yard. And I thought he was going to get a taunting penalty because he got up and he spiked the damn ball. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, calm down. But anyway, so there were some positives, and like I said, it's a loss, and it sucks to get a loss. And like I said, they should be 5-4 going into this bye, but you got to feel good just because Justin Fields. You just saw what this kid can do, and just kind of build on this now and get that feeling going and getting better and continue to expand that offense, give him more responsibilities, allow him to be more of a threat down the field with his arm, and continue to use his legs in those short yard situations. I think now he's done a good job of terms of being able to know when to pull the ball, get those, first downs and all that stuff. The Wildcat the Wildcat was unstoppable today, guys, with Montgomery at the quarterback position. And then I want to touch on Mooney. I'm like, keep running the damn Wildcat until they can stop it, because it looked like the Steelers were freaking confused with it. So, like I said, it sucks to lose. They should have won. But you know what? There's the big positive right now is just Justin Fields.
Yeah, now Nagy is meeting the media, but unfortunately the audio just sucks. It's too low, so let's just continue to talk through it. In fact, if you guys want to talk, I'll listen in on what Nagy is saying, and if he says anything important, I'll report it to you guys. So why don't you go ahead and
yeah. The one thing, Tyler, I wanted to bring up to you is like these last two games, we've seen the importance of Khalil Mack, right? A lot of times Mack gets criticized or whatnot about the stack totals or the pressures, but you see this guy with him, he's not in the lineup. His presence is sorely missed. And again, there are times where Roethlisberger, who again is an immobile quarterback, had plenty of time back there in the pocket. The defensive line just wasn't getting there. I know Quinn had one sack, but other than that is and also you've noticed that they're starting to attack the edges more in terms of these toss plays, these little sweep plays, and trying to get, because of it looks like the current defensive edge setters are not being as disciplined or not as sound in terms of their assignments, as Mack is. So I think they're trying to attack those edges there. We saw it last week with Shanahan doing the toss sweeps left and right. And then today we saw the Steelers kind of get affected. They're not really going up the middle so much. They're just kind of trying to attack the edge, whoever the edge setter is or edge defender is for the Bears. So Khalil Mack, I think his presence was sorely missed these last 2 weeks.
Absolutely, brother. Khalil Mack, any Bears fan complain about Khalil Mack, they're ungrateful, unappreciative, because they have forgotten what it was before we had a pass rush. I mean, it's a top generational talent. You don't trade away those many picks. Like, there's still Raiders fans still mad at the Raiders for trading him away. And so I'm still in awe that we got him, Danny. When Khalil Mack is in the game, the whole offense is aware. Right. And so that's somebody, but
the attention he draws from the multiple blockers and the chips and all that stuff. That's one less player.
He demands
one less player. Yeah, exactly. He demands that.
Any player that demands double coverage is an impactful player. Even Akeem Hicks acquires like a double coverage, and so like these things are like things that you just have to just slow down and just appreciate. I'm glad that we did get some sacks, because in San Francisco, the other game, we couldn't get any sacks.
Yeah, no,
and I'm like,
but we had no forced punt. We didn't punt with the guy that didn't punt last week for the 49ers. At least we got some punts to tonight's game.
And this also goes back to the scheming of Deshaun Desai to scheme up pressures and stuff. This goes back to the defensive scheme. One guy brought it up. I didn't like the coverage in the last series because there was a lot of Steelers wide open. It was a busted coverage. I did see that one busted coverage. But it just wasn't a hat on the hat. I don't know if we tried to go to a soft zone when they were playing for a field goal. But I'm talking about the defense, man. Like Roquan Smith, like when you say you're excited, I'm excited about Roquan Smith and Justin Fields. Those are the two players that I know that will be here over the next 5 years.
Yeah, Roquan too. He had a rough game last week. I mean, pretty much the whole defense had a rough game last week in terms of the run defense. I think today he set a tone early in that first half with two physical run fits in the middle of that A gap. It's just squared up Najee Harris and brought him down for a loss of a tackle for loss. So, but the other thing is he's one hell of a blitzing linebacker. Man, he's a weapon as a blitzer, and I wish they would use him more as a blitzer. You saw today, when he comes in on a blitz, even if it's a delayed blitz, it looks like he's launched out of a cannon with his ability to close in quickly on either the ball carrier or the quarterback. So, but the other group that to me is missing Khalil Mack or the presence of Khalil Mack are the cornerbacks. You notice when Mack and Quinn were doing their thing, Vilder and Johnson were playing well, but now with a little bit more time for the quarterbacks back there with less pressure, they're getting picked on a lot. And Vilder, I think, that matchup versus the tight end, it was a big body tight end. I think it was a disadvantage there with size wise, but he made a couple nice plays, recoveries in terms of being able to come up and knock that ball away for a PBU. But yeah, we're seeing our corners getting a little picked on more here with Mack out of the lineup as well.
No, I mean, just take it back to the basics about what you just said real quick, even about Roquan Smith. The fact, real quick, before we go back to the DBs, there's a difference between having a bad game and being well blocked. The 49ers have a great zone blocking scheme. And Wycheck, the fullback for the 49ers, he's a Pro Bowl, and he let alone took on the responsibility of blocking Roquan Smith. He took the hits, and so Roquan wasn't there where he would know that because somebody was detailed. When you have a coaching staff that's detailed in their preparation, it may look like somebody had a bad game. Roquan Smith was still trying to run around, but they were prepared for him.
But there were a couple of times. I agree with you. Wycheck is one hell of a freaking tight end. I mean, a fullback. I wish the Bears had a fullback like Wycheck on this roster here. But there were times like Deebo Samuel, a receiver, was able to pin him inside. There was a couple of plays at the goal line on that second Garoppolo goal line where he went ahead and he bit inside Roquan. He keyed on something. I wasn't sure what he was keying on. He bit inside, left the gap wide open. So it was a bad game for Roquan. But like I said, I'm a big Roquan fan. He had tested well today, came back today, and kind of showed himself here in terms of what he can do. And like I said, I love him coming in.
He is our leader on defense. He's our sideline guy. And so, yeah, exactly.
You guys probably can't hear Nagy, but I wanted to show his image because it looks like he's been in tears. This looks like it was a very emotional loss for him. I know it was for me. So I would imagine that it was a very emotional locker room afterwards. And I would imagine also that he might be thinking, or maybe he's been told that this was his last game coaching the Chicago Bears.
Where does everybody get that? I don't see anything being reported like that. Who's reporting this? I know, Aldo, you were reporting it on Thursday night.
That's right. It's pure speculation on my part, and it's speculation on the part of other people of the media who have been saying this, and a lot of it is coming from the national media. Very little of it is coming from local media. I just feel like this whole narrative that the Chicago Bears have never fired a coach in midseason, that's because George Halas, the owner of the team, was the coach for half of those years. He wasn't going to fire himself, and so that has a lot to do with it. And I just it's a gut feeling that I have now. He may have saved his job with that dramatic comeback, failed comeback, but I still think that his job is iffy right now.
Because I mean, if they laid a total egg on national television and got it blown out, like looked like might have happened within the first quarter, then I'll be like, all right, maybe okay, whatever. But man, dude, I mean, Mark Trestman team gave up 50 burgers back-to-back weeks versus the Patriots and the Packers, and he didn't get let go. And that team was a disaster by the end of the season, and they rode it out all the way through with him. So it might be, like you said, it's a different time, different era. We talked about it on Bears Truth on Thursday night there, although in terms of the new policy with the NFL, where teams that are looking for head coaches have a 2-week advantage in terms of they can interview assistants for playoff teams in the final 2 weeks of the season. So you get a little leg up there if you want to make a coaching change. But I still find it very hard to believe that, especially after the performance today, where they actually fought and they came back and thought they had a snatched victory from the jaws of defeat there, only to see them give it right back with penalties and bad coverages. I don't think this is a game that they would fire him after, but I've been wrong before.
What's your gut feel, Tyler? You think he's got a job after today?
I would be surprised. I'll be surprised. Maybe pleasantly surprised. If he's let go. If he's let go tomorrow, I mean, I don't want anybody to lose their job, but at the same time, Danny, I don't think Matt Nagy, he's not going to get fired because he lost his game. That's not it. This is the game that you lost. No, brother, it's not about that. It's been the direction of the team. We saw progress today, but like John talked about, is our players trying to play out of spite? Are they winning out of spite? Justin just wants to be Justin. Justin wasn't Justin until last week, when Justin said he had his best game of his career when his head coach was nowhere in sight. And so when Nagy's coming back into the fray, but I'm still seeing my young quarterback being able to be himself. Why is he just not being able to be himself? This goes back to player development. I mean, I don't know. I don't want anybody to lose their job, but my love is for the Chicago Bears and the team and our current roster. And so my gut feeling is that, like, I hope we make a move sooner than later, because it's like I don't want to hear the same song and dance next offseason about the players know what they're going to do faster now, and everybody's going to know what to do. I'm tired of hearing that stuff.
My thing is, if you're the McCaskies and you're going to clean house, okay, do it now. Get a head start on it, right? But if you're and you're humming and hawing and you're like, oh, I'm not sure, I'm going to keep Ryan Pace, I'm going to let Ryan Pace go, I'll let him fire this coach and another coach. You got to decide now. So if ownership, I have a feeling, doesn't know what the hell they're doing at the end of the season, I just can't see them making a decision like this in the middle of the season. Now, if Ryan Pace goes to McCaskey says, "Hey, I want to fire Matt Nagy," then I'm gonna be like, "Oh, all right, what's the positive there? Who are you gonna bring in within the staff? Because you're not gonna go outside the organization and bring in a coach right now, right? You got to elevate someone within the staff. Tell me why you feel Coach X is best suited now to lead this team than Matt Nagy. And then if you're Ryan Pace,
that's an easy answer. The way Tabor answered the questions in that postseason and that post game loss. I mean, I'm not making a statement, Danny. No, I'm giving you facts. I'm giving you like critical, like Bears Nation facts of what I've got from Bears media, Bears fans on Twitter and Facebook, just in the circles that I'm at. The transparency and the information being transmuted to the public. Okay, we're being sick of just letting leaders just do what they want to do, and they're going to tell us everything is great, they have a great practice, and we're just going to believe it. No, Brian Pace.
Tyler, but I understand, and I trust me. Ask Aldo. I don't even want to listen to Matt Nagy press conferences because he gives me jack shit. To be honest with you, just to be blunt, he gives me nothing. However, Bill Belichick gives you nothing if you're in New England. Right, it gives you crap in terms of his press conferences, but he's one of the best. He's the best coach in the NFL. So you cannot judge a head coach whether he should keep his job or not.
No.
How he deals with the media.
You're mistaken real quick. You're mistaken real quick. Two different situations. Bill Belichick is a defensive genius and has proven Super Bowl results. Matt Nagy was brought here to fix the Chicago Bears offense, and we're freaking 30th. And our fourth year,
he's not. Yeah, he's not a offensive genius.
So you've lost your legway. Right. It's not about how you talk to social media. No, it's about how you conduct. You're telling us one thing. We traded it away. I was about to say Jimmy Butler. We traded.
Wrong team. Wrong podcast.
I will say this, if I can interrupt. The rules have changed, and we talked about this, Danny, on Thursday's Spare Truth. Is that the Bears can start talking to NFL prospective candidates for the new head coaching job 2 weeks in week 16. So in week 16, week 17, they can get a jump start on interviewing potential coaching candidates. And so if you know for sure that Matt Nagy is not the guy to lead the team into the future, and I would be shocked. I would be shocked that anyone in the Bears front office feels that way. If you feel that, then you have to make the move so that way you can get a jump on all the other teams that are going to be looking for coaches and interviewing these coaches. Now, Hub Arkish has tweeted out, "Can the Nagy haters please just stop for a minute?" Yes, he had a terrible first half tonight. May have to go. But Bears dominated halftime adjustments. Offense was created in the second and difference late. 45 years. I've covered countless games. This is the first I ever saw it taken away by the stripes, meaning the officials. What do you guys think about what Hub Arkish just wrote?
No, I agree, and I respect Hub Arkish a great deal. He's been here, like you said, 45 years, and he's seen a lot. And I agree. And in terms of making the adjustments, getting that team to play hard for him. That's the one thing is when a team has quit on a coach. And this team has not quit on this coach. This team still plays hard for this coach, and it plays hard for us. Now, can it be better? Hell yeah, it can be better. Like I said, the penalties, they've got to stop, and they go straight to the top, to the head coach. He's got to cut that out. He's got to. The one thing, I wasn't a big Lovie Smith fan, but when there was penalties or there was missed tackles, he took care of it. He took care of it internally, and he made sure the veterans of that team knew who to go talk to the players and put them in check. And that's what he did. That's why you have to respect Lovie Smith for how he coached that team. But with Matt Nagy, it just continues to week in, week out. And again, it seems like I'm defending him, but I'm not really defending him. I'm just saying, like, I would make a change. I'm not saying I'll make a change right now, but end of the season, I'm making a change. Tyler, I know you make a change. Aldo, I know you'd make a change. But my thing is, if you're the McCaskies, do we know if the McCaskies know what they're doing? Are the McCaskies sure they're going to keep Ryan Pace? Because if you let Ryan Pace fire this coach or hire another coach, then you gotta be adamant about keeping Ryan Pace then, right? Because you can't fire the coach now and then keep Ryan Pace for the season and then fire him after the season too, can you?
I'm not a fan. That's the kind of the catch-22 situation is if you fire Matt Nagy tomorrow, which I fully expect is going to happen, then that means that Ryan Pace is going to be the general manager in 2022. Because
I won't be mad at that.
You wouldn't be mad at that?
The only reason why I wouldn't be, because if I would be mad at Ryan Pace if Ryan Pace didn't make any changes, because I think if Matt Nagy's fired tomorrow, it's a Ryan Pace agreement decision. That tells me my general manager wants change. And so, like, we can go in about Pace's like positives and negatives, but I want my general manager to care about the current circumstances and situation and about next year. And so, but at the same time, what is that coach? How much control does that coach have? If we have a new coach are we going to give that new coach full control of all that other stuff that comes along with the bells and whistles that some of these other coaches have gotten? Maybe. But if Ryan Pace does that right now, just for me personally, I don't mind it, because Ryan Pace, thank you for doing something. You don't talk to the media. We only hear from you once a year. And so, but this tells me that enough is enough, and you're already looking towards the future. That's what a general manager's job is. They draft for right now, and then everything else is for the next seasons. And so, like, I won't be upset if Ryan Pace is a general manager next year if we have a new coach.
And I just want to answer 4,000 Clover's question. He's asking, why am I so confident? First of all, forget about tradition. Like I said earlier, George Halas was the coach for almost 40 some years of the 105 years that the Bears have been in existence. So he wasn't going to fire himself. And the Bears had a lot of success in those years where he was not coach until the point where he became very old, and in the 1960s, then they went through a series of coaches before Matt Nagy. But you look at all those coaches, they were all fired in 1 or 2 years. Jim Dooley, Abe Gibron, they were both here for 2 years. I don't think you can look at the past and say that they don't do that. I think that the groundswell has become so intense, so thick. The Bears Alumni Association, former players are saying this is intolerable. You can't do that. People were in George McCaskey's ear, people that he respects, and they are telling him this guy cannot develop your quarterback. Look at what he did with Mitch Trubisky, 0, and people now are starting to think maybe Mitch Trubisky can play quarterback, because there's so many of the same errors that were done with Mitchell Trubisky were done with Justin Fields the first 5-6 games of his career with the Chicago Bears. So there's a lot of people in George McCaskey's ear that are saying you got to make the change now, and it's better to do it now than to wait, because you'll be behind in the coaching search derby, for lack of a better way of putting it.
I understand that Mitch Trubisky was not helped by Matt Nagy, but you guys think Mitch Trubisky could have led this comeback tonight that Justin Fields did?
Yes.
Well, he's led other comebacks. He's led other comebacks. Look at the Eagles game in the playoffs.
Trubisky's a career backup, guys, and I'm telling you,
I'm not arguing that, Danny. I'm not arguing that.
Well,
but he wasn't helped by Nagy.
I'll argue for you, brother Aldo. Okay. Danny, welcome to Bear Football, brother.
I'll bet you a dinner, steak, whatever you want, man. He's never going to be a NFL quarterback.
Bro. I hear you in all, and I hear you in all of that stuff, but none of that matters to me, because the fact of the matter is, if Colt McCoy can go out there and learn the system, listen, it's not about. Guess what Nick Foles was? Okay, but somebody who can't damn perform when their number's called.
Okay, that's a backup, though. You're describing a backup, Tyler. A guy that can come in and help you win a game when your starter's hurt. So your starter's hurt. That's what Colt McCoy did. That's what Nick Foles did. That's what these backups did. Yeah, he's going to be a great backup. Fine. He's not a 16, 17 week NFL starter that's going to win you consistently. I'm sorry. He's very limited.
So what quarterback is without proper development?
I understand Matt Nagy didn't do a great, but we're talking about basic quarterback stuff here. We're talking about being able to get the ball downfield with accuracy. That's not coaching.
Danny, what quarterback is all those things you just said without proper development?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Without development.
Okay, but it's not 1 or 2 years, Tyler. It's been 4 or 5. It's been 4 years, 2 different coaching staffs. We've seen, again, I'm not saying that he's not going to be a 10-year player in the NFL as backup. He has limitations in terms of processing the game quickly, in terms of being able to be accurate downfield with this football. You can't be a starting quarterback winning with deficiencies, dude. You can't do it.
Bro, you're so right. And you remind me of those same guys that said all those things about Tom Brady when he came out in the draft. Every single thing you just said was said about Tom Brady during his draft. That's a fact.
That's not that was just scouting off Tom Brady's collegiate career. That's not saying that once Tom Brady started playing the game.
No, they say he will not perform well in clutch situations. Danny, what I'm saying is if you give the right appreciative person the right environment, Russell Wilson, 3rd round draft pick, the guy that was there was making $70 million.
Russell Wilson's a hell of an athlete, dude. Yes, Russell's career at Wisconsin and NC State was 10 times better than the career that Trubisky had.
But the point that I'm making was the way Pete Carroll coached them along. They ran Marshawn Lynch on 1st and 2nd down, and Russell didn't start to go into his own until the second half of the season. I'm not guessing here. I'm telling you football facts. But
I'm telling you stuff that I've heard from NFL scouts, right? Trubisky is what he is. Dude, Sean Payton had an opening for a quarterback. Vic Fangio had an opening for a quarterback. All right. These guys, Sean Payton took Trevor Siemian and rather have him on his roster than bring in Mitchell Trubisky. Why is that? Sean Payton is the guy who can develop quarterbacks. Sean Payton is a guy who knows quarterbacks. I'm telling you, the book is out on Mitchell Trubisky. He is limited. Great athlete, great guy. 10-year NFL, 10-year veteran backup quarterback.
I feel
that's his ceiling.
He's on a first place team in the AFC.
He hasn't done shit to earn that first place on the team.
You're not hurting my feelings by talking about Mitch. You're not hurting my feelings by talking about Mitch.
I'm not trying. I'm just trying to set the facts straight here. He's not going to be a successful NFL starting quarterback.
I mean,
Tyler is not drunk, by the way. Troy,
Danny, if that's the case, brother, please.
Do we know that for sure?
Please tell me the numbers for the Powerball tonight, Danny. Since you, like that's what I'm saying. Tell me the winners. If you know those things, like tell us the lottery.
I can't predict the Powerball numbers, but I can scout quarterbacks, dude. I'm telling you right now, Mitchell Trubisky is not going to be an NFL scout. You ask any NFL scout out there, the book is out on Trubisky.
Yeah, why is that, Danny?
Because they've seen him play, bro. They've seen him play.
Exactly, bro.
Dude, Adrian Amos went to the Packers, and Adrian Amos went to the Packers, and he told them what this guy cannot do because he knows him out because he was on his team.
Because of this crappy ass playbook, bro. What are you talking about?
Oh, the playbook's crappy. I'm no doubt, but
everybody,
dog, you're talking nonsense to me, champ.
I'm telling you right now. The good news is we got Justin Fields.
I would pick Mr. Trubisky with me in a bar fight than most of my people on my own network because my man has grit and he's appreciative and he's a hell of a student.
Oh, he might be a good fighter, but he sucks as a quarterback.
He tore our asses up in preseason.
That counts to you?
You can't count that, Tyler. You can't.
Preseason counts to you?
Khalil Mack
Come on, man.
All right, dog. Hey, man, you sound like a man who hasn't strapped up on the field in a long time. Football and preseason, you can still get hurt. Yeah. If preseason didn't count, you couldn't take your
Trubisky is a bum-ass backup quarterback. Bro.
All right. I want to get off this. Let's talk about this Bears loss tonight against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Besides Justin Fields, was there anything else that you could see as a silver lining? And again, we're not happy about silver linings or moral victories or anything like that. But any other players stand out other than the ones that we've identified? Justin Fields, James Daniels, Cole Kmet had an excellent game. There's a nice chemistry going on between the two of them. Tyler cited the play of Roquan Smith. Outstanding game by Roquan Smith. Danny, you talked about Eddie Goldman. Who else did you appreciate today?
One of the main silver linings is our franchise running back and David Montgomery coming back, running downhill. I mean, I didn't see any hampering at all. I saw him pushing the pile for first downs. He's a man who looked like he was watching Khalil Herbert do great these past couple of weeks. He said, "Oh crap, I'm on that hot block. If I don't come back play and perform, I could be out of here." But at the same time, hopefully they don't. Hopefully they keep those two horses together. But David Montgomery, glad to have our guy back, somebody who I expected to have 1,000 yards plus this season if he didn't miss all these games. It's now like a numbers game. But David Montgomery catching the ball out the backfield, picking up blitzes. I mean, there were some other things that it's what he does without the ball that I appreciate just so much. But David Montgomery coming in, not afraid to run straight up and run through people. And then when you talk about Cole Kmet, he got a lot of slack from dropping that touchdown pass last week. But Cole Kmet being able to catch on the run, that's my pile of bricks. And like John would say, when you spend that high of a draft pick on that position, it's cool to get him involved. He led us in yards this game. I was hoping that he would have got 100. That'd have been super dope for the young man. He's not getting the red zone looks. Like I think that's we still use Jimmy Graham for those type of things. But Cole Kmet, his blocking, Aldo, Danny, can you like the blocking of Cole Kmet? I am so impressed, man, because like, I mean, a tight end, yeah, you want to block, but like, yo, I'm seeing some legit blocking from my guy, which kind of sucks because I don't want another. They're not gonna put another tight end in the block, which takes away from catches that he could have got. And so, like, those two things, I'm truly excited about our when we talk about who's going to be here over the next 4 years. Cole Kmet, David Montgomery, Justin Fields, Roquan Smith.
Yeah, I have to say that I think people have been unfair in their criticism towards Cole Kmet. It takes tight ends 2 to 3 years to get acclimated to the NFL game because so many responsibilities that they have, blocking, catching, you name it. They have a lot of responsibilities, and Cole Kmet is, I think, progressing nicely. And don't forget, again, that he's dealing with a quarterback that he didn't get those reps with like Jesse James did. And by the way, I want to interrupt myself by sharing this with you. This is Brad Biggs saying that Cassius Marsh, he met with the media and he says he thought that it was the incidental contact with referee Tony Correnti that he made, that he believes Correnti was acting with intent.
That's what Tyler and I said. Yeah, that's what Tyler and I said.
That's exactly what you guys said. And so you can bet that Cassius Marsh is going to be fined for that, but I'm glad that he spoke out. And while I didn't get an opportunity to listen to the entire Matt Nagy interview, people are saying on social media and in our chat room that Matt Nagy didn't support Marsh, that he didn't criticize the officiating in this game, which to me is a coaching blunder. One of the things that you have to do is you got to take the fine for your team and say, listen, we were screwed by those officials. My players did enough to win this game. We made mistakes, and I will not, and those mistakes will be addressed one-on-one in our group meetings. But the officials didn't make it any rougher on us, and we will be lodging a complaint with the NFL for the numerous calls that they messed up on. That's what Matt Nagy should have said. And if he didn't say that, if he did say it and I missed it, I apologize. But if he didn't say that, it's another reason why he should be fired tomorrow.
Aldo, and that goes side and side. Danny, I'm glad you're here, brother, because I want to talk to you since the last time we were here. But the last time you were on the show, Danny, was when Aaron Rodgers said he owned us. And I told you that was going to be a very big damn deal the next morning. And it was, because like you said, it doesn't solve anything if Matt Nagy says anything. But for Chicago, it did. The fact that the head coach, the person who can't talk to the media, because when that man's granddaughter is sitting up there and nobody's defending our turf, but he spends all week long talking about how good the other team is, and you can't even pick and choose to have your players back or your team back when we get taken care of, when we get embarrassed by the Green Bay Packers at home, and then when you're out on the road and you can't stand up for your players. Those exit meetings, Aldo, if he's not fired tomorrow, it's going to be on what the players say during their exit meetings with General Manager Ryan Pace at the end of the season. And honestly, it's going to be like, Justin, are you being developed? That's the question I want to know. Justin has to be real. Are you being developed? Like, but these are things that Ryan Pace, who has a huge scouting background, has to come out and be aware of. Like, where are we going? The question isn't should Matt Nagy be fired tomorrow. The question is, can you win a Super Bowl with your coach? If you don't believe you can win a Super Bowl with your coach, then why is he on your team? Am I off here? I don't think so. I don't think I'm off. If you have somebody on your team that you don't feel like you can win a division with, then why are they there? And that causes for immediate change.
Yeah, I agree with you. You got to look at everyone in the roster and you got to grade them in terms of, can this guy help us win a championship, even if it's as a role player, like a special teams player or something like that. And if you don't have, then you got to get rid of the guy and find somebody who can. Now, sometimes you can't find somebody, and sometimes you make bad adjustments or bad evaluations. You know, Danny knows that all scouts aren't infallible, you know, but that's the case. And I think with the case of the Chicago Bears is that they've made some poor evaluations on certain players. Danny, you, at the halftime show, you talked about Jimmy Graham. You were down on him. What did you think about what was it? Just one catch, right?
Yeah, he had was it 2 catches in the second half or something like that? He had 2 catches. That one down the seam at that 28-yarder was a nice catch. He was able to go ahead and extend outside his frame, which what Jimmy Graham does best when he was younger, and bring in that catch. Like I said, I was a little worried he could spike the ball, and I thought he was going to get a penalty. But luckily, he didn't get a penalty there. However, but that ball that he missed in that first half, that's what you're here for, Jimmy Graham. You're a big target in the red zone, 1-on-1 versus an undersized defender. You got to go up and you got to square that ball up. You got to bring it in and secure that touchdown catch. And just like how the rookie Pat Freiermuth was doing it against Kindle Vilder for the Steelers, that's what Jimmy Graham should have been doing for that first half catch. So I think, we discussed it real quickly there at halftime. I think Jimmy Graham, and that's also this is something like that. Again, this is just my opinion here, but I think the Jimmy Graham, he's a lead, he's a mentor to Cole Kmet, and I think Cole Kmet has kind of been in a way kind of taken aback and didn't want to kind of step on Jimmy Graham's toes, and I think that may have maybe slowed down Cole Kmet's development as well. But I think finally now Cole Kmet's seeing, hey, you know what, it's my turn to shine. Jimmy Graham is being slowly but surely getting squeezed out of the offense here. He's getting a handful of snaps. I think I only saw him like 10 or 15 snaps at all today on offense. So I think Cole Kmet's finally realizing, hey, it's my turn to kind of take the lead here and become the lead tight end. And like Tyler was saying, he's a wide tight end as opposed to Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham is more of a flex split out tight end, or they call him the Joker position sometimes. But but Cole Kmet's more of a round, all around tight end guy who can line up in line, guy who can flex out in the slot and make big plays down the field. So I think now Cole Kmet kind of taking those next steps is a positive sign for the offense, positive sign for Justin Fields as well. So, but yeah, I think Jimmy Graham is a guy has had a great career. But if he's a guy who's got cut tomorrow, I would not shed a tear if we lose Jimmy Graham. I just think he's stayed his welcome here on this football team. So,
well, and the money that if you cut him, I'm guessing here, I'm speculating, there will be about $3 to $4 million available because you don't have to play off the rest of that $9 million. He's playing under a non-guaranteed contract. So if that frees up $3 to $4 million, you're not going to find anybody in the street that deserves that, but you can start to negotiate with the Roquan Smiths, with the guys who are your nucleus of the team, and you can start hopefully locking them up and avoiding getting any of these key players out into free agency. By the way, I want to talk about Amir Reynolds here because I disagree with you, Amir. I apologize here, but I don't think Kindle Vilder is the worst cornerback in the league. By far not. He was burned, and Mike North said this on Twitter too. He was burned 2 or 3 times in this game tonight, but even on the plays that he was burned, he was fighting.
He was in position to make a play.
And it's just ridiculous for anyone to look at what Kindle Vilder did out there and be hypercritical of him.
Guys, Kindle
Vilder developing into a good cornerback, in my opinion.
Kindle Vilder is about 5'10", 178, 80 pounds. The tight end he was fed up against was 6'5", 265, 270, the rookie from Penn State. So again, this is a big body tight end going up against a smaller body defender. And Tyler and I kind of touched on it earlier, Aldo, when you were kind of trying to look at it, listen to the tape there. The lack of the pass rush. With Khalil Mack, I think his presence not only has affected the guys up front, but I think has also affected the cornerbacks. You see Jalen Johnson and Kindle Vilder getting picked on a little bit more now because the lack of that outside pass rush. When Mack and Quinn were going at it, quarterbacks knew they had to get rid of the ball quickly, and I think they didn't have really time to pick on those cornerbacks. But I think now with Mack out there, Quinn coming off of COVID now 2 weeks removed, he had a sack today, but he hasn't been really that guy that we saw earlier in the season with Mack not there. He's getting more attention obviously now. So I think that also has affected the cornerbacks. That touchdown, that first touchdown to Freiermuth. I mean, Big Ben had all day there to throw. There was really no pressure on him whatsoever. And then finally, Freiermuth was able to get uncovered from the coverage of DHC and get that touchdown. So again, that pass rush up front, I think in the second half we saw a little bit more of a reinvigorated pass rush there. I don't know if they got any. I think they got 1 or 2 sacks. I think Roquan had a sack on a delayed blitz, and I think another play had a sack off the top of my head. I can't remember who it was, but just continue to get that pressure up front. So I think that pressure up front, the lack of with Mack not there, has hurt the corners as well. But going back to your earlier question in terms of a positive, a guy that I've been pleasantly surprised with is Larry Borom at right tackle. He's a guy that I scouted as a right tackle. I think he could have played guard or right tackle. I don't know why they were talking about him at left tackle, but anyway, I think right tackle is a position that he's kind of growing into. I know TJ Watt was credited with 3 sacks, but guys, those are only Fields kind of trying to escape, run away, and he was tackled behind the line of scrimmage by TJ Watt on a couple of those. I don't think those were just clean sacks. I could be wrong, but I know 2 of them were just he tackled Justin Fields as he was trying to escape out of the pressure behind the line of scrimmage and was credited with a sack. So I think Borom, he did get help today, and thank God he got help today. Like I said earlier, the tight ends were chipping, the running backs were chipping, which is how you're supposed to help rookie tackles until they develop themselves. So I think he is a positive to look at, to keep an eye on. I don't want to see Jermaine Ifedi. I know he was reactivated from the COVID list today. I don't want to see him play unless there's an injury. I keep Jermaine Ifedi's ass on the bench. I think I like this little core they have going on with the offensive line. Like I said, in that last drive, the one that the Bears took a lead on, there was a solid pocket. Now, yeah, I'm not saying it was a 6, 7, 8, 8-second pocket, but he had a 3-4 seconds where he can go and get rid of the football, go through some sort of a progression there. And I like that, and especially at a time of the game, crucial time down the stretch where the Steelers are going to pin their ears back and go after your quarterback. The offensive line stood their ground against one of the premier pass rushers in TJ Watt, and at least gave Justin Fields enough time to get rid of the football and make those plays down the field and give us that lead momentarily. So Larry Borom is a guy that I'm pleasantly surprised on. Another guy, a young guy, right there. We talked about Khalil Herbert, Montgomery. I love David Montgomery. I like him. The combination of Montgomery and Herbert in the backfield, I absolutely love it. I know somebody reached out to me on Twitter today talking about they can't wait till Tariq Cohen comes back. I'm like, why? I'm like, these 2 guys are better running backs than Tariq Cohen ever was. Cohen will give you a little bit of that gadget play, but again, he's not going to be 100% probably till next year. They're looking at the way his recovery is going. So I'm loving the running back now, the position we have there. Darnell Mooney, we saw him a little bit life there in the second half. I want to see more from Darnell Mooney. Allen Robinson, hopefully he's okay with that ankle. Hopefully he didn't re-aggravate it. I want to see him and Justin Fields continue to develop that repertoire, downfield and get better.
Excuse me for interrupting. The latest report on A-Rob is that it's a hamstring.
Okay. All right.
So on top of that tender ankle, we might see him out for a couple of games.
So the bye week's coming at a good time for him now. He may help rest up that hamstring and hopefully be ready by the time they play the Ravens here in 2 weeks. But again, this to me is all about Justin Fields, and I know it's a loss, but man, I'm juiced, man. I'm excited. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, because I see what I was telling everybody when the Bears drafted Justin Fields. Guys, this is different. This guy has that star potential. You just got to give him the tools around him, protect him, and make sure, Tyler, you're right. Justin Fields is a former baseball player, but he slides like a guy who's never played baseball in his life. So he scares the hell out of me when he slides. So,
because I don't think he wants to slide. That's the thing. It's like he fights himself. There were a couple of times
that hit by Minkah Fitzpatrick on the sideline, that scared me too, because he went flying. I'm like, oh my God. So like right now, I just want this kid to continue to develop, stay healthy, and just continue to get better and better.
Tyler, I want to show you this replay of Tony Correnti, the official, because Cassius Marsh is saying that Correnti hip checked him. Yeah. And Marsh is saying that if he would have done that to the official, he would get fined. Watch it here. There's Correnti.
It's already on it. His hand was already on the flag, and he kind of stuck his butt out. Look.
That's what Marsh is saying, that he should not have been hit like that, because if he were to do that to the official, he would be fined. Why is Correnti allowed to do that to a player? Just stick his hip out there. This is wrong. He was
ready to throw that fly out, though. He should be able to. I mean, I don't know, unless he gets fined, I would file a grievance.
Cassius Marsh is saying that celebration that he does, where he did the kick and so forth. He says he's been doing that his entire career. He's never been penalized for it. No one's ever told him it was wrong or anything like that. And he says that when he looked at the Pittsburgh Steelers sideline, he didn't say a single word. So That penalty is going to be discussed. Watch, turn on the ESPN and all your morning shows and so forth. That's going to be one of the first things that's been discussed is this penalty, because it really, really ruined the Bears' chance.
This entire weekend, the penalties sucked. Did you guys watch the game last night between the Rams and the Titans? That was one of the worst officiating games that I've seen. I mean, this might have been the second worst today, but I mean, the officials at one point, they stopped play, they huddled, and then just put the ball back in action. And everybody's like, even the announcers, Al Malcolm was like, okay, what was that about? They didn't announce anything or nothing, just stopped the play. And then even the coach is like, what's going on? It was just horrible.
Yeah,
that was a game changer. I know we're talking about that, but that right there was like, when I saw that, I was like, wow, that just not cost us the game, but like they were supposed to be punting. It was full. That was it. We were about
That's 3 points, man. They got a field goal after that.
We were about to get the ball back down by 3. No, we about to get the ball. We about to get the ball back down by 3.
Yeah. Right.
And so like, wow, but that's why I was so mad at the coach for yelling at Marsh, because I'm like, bro, did you not see what just happened? How are you yelling at him? Were you not paying attention?
And that coach, I'm not sure what his name is. He did come over and apologize to Marsh later. I did see him. He did apologize. But yeah, I felt the same way that you did, Tyler. When I saw him go over there, he reamed Marsh out. He reamed him. And I'm like
you should have been yelling at Mario Edwards like that.
Exactly. Mario Edwards, man, that guy is a walking penalty machine. Jeez. All right, guys, let's start to wrap this up. And I want to just, before I do, we've got a lot more coverage of this game coming up tomorrow. Greg Gabriel will be with me tomorrow afternoon. And while this is kind of our bye week here at the Barroom Network, we might throw some special things in because, again, I got a feeling there's going to be some dramatic news coming out of Halisaw tomorrow. But
I'm telling you, if something happens tomorrow, Aldo, I want to know who your sources are. You've got some sources that you're not revealing here.
All right, Danny, you want to give us final thoughts, and then we'll go to Tyler, and then I'll close the shop?
Yeah, I mean, final thoughts. The Bears should have won these last 2 games, guys. The Bears should be 5-4 going into the week. I truly, believe that. I think, initially first quarter, I was so distraught in terms of what was going on, what I was seeing. I saw looked like the Bears are being outclassed in terms of, talent on the field, coaching staff, and all that stuff. I love the fight they showed in the second half. But I'm absolutely on cloud 9 in terms of what Justin Fields showed, especially that last drive. The lights around, the bright lights around national television, let the team down in hostile environment on the road, give us that lead. Yes, it was a short-lived lead, but that's what it's all about now, guys. Is Justin Fields and this kid developing and getting better, and hopefully, by the time the season ends, he's a fully, not fully developed, but he's way, on his way to being that star quarterback that I've predicted he was going to be, once he's came out of Ohio State. So really excited about that. We talked about some of the positives in terms of the running backs we have. The offensive line looked solid today. Not overall great game, but pretty much I give him like a CC plus, probably maybe in a B minus. I got to break down the tape and just kind of look at it all over again. But that was positive. Eddie Goldman was back last week. It may have been an aberration. I defended this kid over and over again. I said last week the tape was really something that I've rarely seen Eddie Goldman get that manhandle at the line of scrimmage, and today he was doing the manhandling. So that's a positive as well. But to me, is on defense, Khalil Mack's presence is sorely missed, and people who doubt that Mack brings a presence or is a dominant force on defense, even though he's not getting those sack numbers that a lot of these premier pass rushers get. You can just see right now, you can feel the difference on this defense when he's not out there. So, but again, it's all about Justin Fields, and for me, that's a positive. Loss sucks. They should be 5-4, but they're 3-6, but at least they have a young developing quarterback.
And I want you both guys to comment on this before we leave the air. ESPN Stats and Info says that Justin Fields aired it out all night, averaging 15.6 air yards per attempt. That's the second most by any quarterback in a game this season. His 7 completions on balls 15 plus yards downfield are tied for the most by a Bears quarterback over the past 15 seasons. So when Danny says that he's excited, the numbers back him up too. I'm excited. Tyler,
that's what I've been saying. Although I've been saying you got to build this game up, keep progressing, keep getting better, and keep getting better. Now we're seeing some of that ability to get the ball downfield. Now just get that talent around him, protect him, and I think the sky's the limit.
Tyler, your thoughts? Is Tyler frozen? I think he is.
I think he is frozen.
What a great look. Look at this guy. Man, you look like you're really angry at Tony Correnti, that official. We'll see if we can get him back. But what do you think about what who was it here? Troy says air yards are a trash stat. I don't think that's correct. What do you think?
No, all it does is, Troy, all it does is show you that the quarterback's trying to get the ball downfield, the offense trying to matriculate downfield, and that's what you want to see, right? You don't want to see 5, 6, 7 yard averages. That means that they're pretty much throwing these check down plays. So, that doesn't necessarily mean the quarterback had a great game or anything like that, because a lot of times a lot of those stats could be developed during garbage time. But the fact that it was a close game, took the lead, and real late in the game, you could tell it was a crunch, time moment, throws that he made, and again, this is what we're talking about with this kid, is just kind of build him up, continue to develop him, and I've told you guys before, this guy is so comfortable under center. That play action, game is right up his alley. He's comfortable, turning his back, faking that handoff for 1 or 2 seconds, and then turning around and looking for his options. A lot of quarterbacks come out of college, they've been playing in the shotgun for most of their career, and they want to stay in the shotgun. But Justin Fields is a different breed. He's comfortable under center, and I want to see more of him under center, because that also it eliminates the guessing game from the defense as well, because now the defense says, all right, he could hand off the ball, he could throw the ball, as opposed to in the shotgun, those handoffs, those play fakes are a little bit hard to sell, as opposed to when you're under center and you're actually running back there and doing an actual play action. Now, that's another area of the game maybe he can develop and get better there. It's just, continue to sell that handoff a little bit more, that play action, and continue to get those defenders to bite in more. And now you can hit them over the top.
Mm-hmm. Great analysis as ever. It looks like we lost Tyler, who is doing work for our country. And as always, we appreciate Tyler and all of our members of the armed services who do the heroic work that this country needs. And we're just so appreciative. Troy says that good points, Danny. You're like a sober draft. I'm not sure that's a compliment.
I'll leave that. I'll let that be go. Let that go. Thank you, Troy.
All right. Again, Greg Gabriel and I are going to talk about this game and all the latest from Halisaw. We're actually going to be on at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Greg is going to get his booster shot. You get your booster shot, Danny?
Not yet. I think they're looking to, because Moderna's filing for the FDA authorized emergency use. So I don't think that's the one I had. So I'd rather stick with Moderna, even though I know I can mix it, but not yet. To answer your question, not yet.
I love what Toa says here.
It's good commenting.
Look,
there he is. He's back.
Tyler, Toa said that you went on a special Black Ops to get Correnti.
I'm like, you know what? Enough is enough.
I swear, if he came out with like the face paint on and
he's got a black and white shirt,
the camel. He's either coming for Correnti or me, one of the two.
Tyler, your final thoughts, and thanks for coming back, brother.
Oh, absolutely, man. Final thoughts, Bears Nation. We took an L today, but we took it on the chin. It was good to see our team fight on a national stage. We never just want to just lay over. So it was really, really cool to see our team show some fight. Don't let this mess up your week, like I will always say. We need to be productive above our circumstances. Like I'm just shared my sage advice that my father gave me. Every single Bears player and coaches are still getting paid millions of dollars for their activities tonight. And but I did see progress from our franchise quarterback Justin Fields, and he's an amazing talent. And this team is definitely going to be going far. Protect your peace. Stay tuned on the Barroom Network. We have tons of coverage. My brother John Buffon on Buffon 55, and from Pastor Mike, from Bulls 101 to Bulls Gold, and the Bears Truth with Danny and Aldo. And so there's a lot of great content coming down the pipe. Protect your peace, and just remember the true fear is prison. And when you break the chains from your mental aspect, you can really do anything you set your mind to. It's not about what you do, but who you get to do it with. So appreciate the people you have in your life. Tell everybody that you love them. And God bless and bear down. And we'll see you all here after the bye week.
Fantastic words, Tyler. I'm so lucky to have done this show tonight with you and Danny and everyone that participated in the chat room. Really, really glad that you guys come here. There's lots of choices that you have for your after game show stuff. The fact that you come here really means a lot to all of us here at the Barroom Network. So we will see you tomorrow. Greg Gabriel and I will be here at 3:00, and we'll break in even earlier if there's news from Hallis Hall about some big stuff. So Danny shaking his head no. Tyler shaking his head yes.
That'd be awesome.
If this happens tomorrow, I am coming to your house. I want to find out who your sources are.
Come to my house. I'll save you some of this and we'll get drunk. All right, everybody. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.